you've been doing a lot of personal lines insurance. And this whole consultative approach too, I think also, a lot of times we think about it in commercial, but people really appreciate it when it comes to like home and auto insurance as well.
I think they almost appreciate it more.
Because nobody takes the time to do it. Everyone is so trained that 15 minutes is going to save you 15% or more. Well, I say, like, if you only spend 15 minutes on an important decision like that, that could cost you $15,000 or more in the future.
I also think that people are a little bit intimidated about commercial insurance, and I feel like if you're already in business, then they feel like, well, I should know these things since you're already in business and you're buying commercial insurance. But that's not the reality. You're only going to know about what you know, right?
Right.
And with the personal lines insurance, I feel like people are more willing to ask questions. So they want
some of them
want
do.
a better some of them do, not all of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I would say that there's some truth to that. Sometimes business owners can't get out of their own way. Sometimes, they're the boss, they're the big dog. I'm making the decisions here. I grew this business.
Well, yeah,
this is my baby. Don't tell them to come in here and try to give me advice. I totally get that too. But at the same time, I think the best managers and the best business managers out there know where they lack in knowledge, or they bring in other people that are going to bring value to the situation. And most business owners, small business owners out there, don't really know much about insurance at all, especially the details, and especially if they're kind of that upper small, lower mid size business that has between 10 and 50 employees.
Yeah.
They've got a lot going on. They're really managing the business. Right. They don't have a team of B and C suite executives that are running operations. A lot of the decisions still flow through them. So having a good partnership with an agent who, again, always talking about us, but we try to really be available to these people when they call. Hey, this is my quick question. This is what I got going on, and we try to give them our best advice on the spot. It's interesting. I was listening to this podcast, PBD, this podcast I love, and he's interesting, interviewing one of the co-founders of Palantir, which is this large, tech company that's really exploded over the last several years, and they do like AI and all this kind of stuff. And he's asking them, what is one of the characteristics of the traits that these founders of these companies have? And he goes, and I've heard this a few times, is they always get back to you right away. These people, even if they're running these large, these huge businesses, when if they have a client or a partner or whatever, they get an email or they get a text message, they respond right away. People appreciate and they want speed, and they want communication right now. You send me a text message or you send me an email, I'm not waiting 24 hours to get a response. I want a response right now.
Yeah.
So that's always been big for me, is customers send an email request for a document or certificate, or they have a question or a policy change, and we get back to them within minutes.
Yeah.
Especially from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And even sometimes after hours. Somebody sends me an email, especially if it's a VIP customer, after work, I'm sitting at home, I'll pull up my laptop and I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
So same is true for personal lines. Home and auto insurance can be tricky. Now, it is kind of changing a little bit, I think, in the market. Over the last 3-4 years, insurance premiums are just going up and up and up and up, and 20% increase, 25% increase, 15% increase. But we're slowly starting to see some of these insurance companies stable off and even reduce rates a little bit. Like auto owners, and I saw Donegal said that they're reducing rates, and they're adding on these other, these discounts that you can stack on top of each other. So I think that there's some relief in the future for the property and casualty insurance market, for at least here in Indiana, for home and auto insurance. I think rates are actually going to start to come down, and more competition is starting to get some traction in the market, and these insurance companies are going to start trying to buy the market again. So Still not cheap though.
No. No, it'll never be cheap. It can't be cheap.
Especially as the values go up, home values, cost of construction.